Hi everybody, day 44, Tuesday 23rd of June 2020, Jerusalem 2. We're on Jerusalem, we're at Jerusalem and we're just doing all the things that all the normal people do. So we go to Bethlehem, see the Church of the Nativity there, go by way of the Mount of Olives, I guess. These are not in order. We visit the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, visited the Wailing Wall, did some wailing there, went on the Via Dolorosa, the pathway that Jesus walked to the cross, but it's not, no, we're not big on church things like that. But in that, we took us down into some archaeological dig, which then showed us a road that had really been where Jesus was. In that was a column and the foundation of one of the houses that was above on the street where we'd just left. So you saw what a history Jerusalem's got there. We called in at the well of the Good Samaritan, which of course the Good Samaritan's a parable, so they wouldn't have a well really, but on the road from Jerusalem to Jericho, we called in that well. Did some shopping. I had a bit of a tummy one day, and I was kind of joining in with a bit of a fast, so I didn't eat my breakfast or anything, but then I just had bread and water at a cafe, and that was the most beautiful meal I've ever had, probably since. Just bread and water in Jerusalem. It was absolutely gorgeous. And then we visited Masada, of course. I went down to the Dead Sea and had a swim in the Dead Sea. That was cute. You'd think it would be thick, but it's not. It's thin. It feels really thin. Jericho's that way on, so we would call it on some archaeological site near Jericho and realise that Jericho, it never ends in Jericho, below sea level, because it gets fed by springs and it's beautiful and green. But then as coming more to the spiritual aspect of my conversation with you, I think we've arrived at the Mount of Olives and we've seen that there's a monument there, which I think is owned by the Muslims, where Jesus is supposed to have ascended from. So it's just a little thing, nothing at that time was being made much of it. And then as we got off the coach, on the top of the Mount of Olives, you're looking over towards Jerusalem, and the Kidron Valley is down here with the Garden of Gethsemane down there, and St. Stephen's Gate is over there, where we're going to go to. But as we got off the coach, of course, there's young lads touting maps and trinkets for us tourists to buy, and I don't buy any then. And we set off down the road. It's just a path now. It's not a road. It's just a path going towards Gethsemane. And someone touches me on my right side, my right hip, from behind. And I turn to look, thinking it's one of the boys trying to sell me one of these things, And there was nobody there. There's absolutely nobody anywhere. So I thought, and then we went, I can't remember whether this happened when we were having a service in the chapel type place at Gethsemane. Gethsemane is very beautiful and peaceful. Or else whether we were actually at Bethesda. Bethesda, the site for Bethesda, is just inside the St. Stephen's Gate. So whether it was, which of those two it was, I'm not sure. But the chairs are all about a metre apart. So, in this place, when we're having a quiet time, and I get touched on the other side this time. And I look behind me, and the person behind me has got their eyes closed and they're miles away. And then I look to my side here, and this lady's looking at me. And I ask her, did you just touch me? And she said, no. So, I'm thinking this is angels already, like, you know what I mean? So, so we did those things and then we went back. And somewhere along the line, I had a conversation with a couple of people who, like myself, have been feeling a bit not in the main party, I'm not getting to touch this man who I wanted to be near. And then in the evening, when the quiet time, after the meal, the evening quiet time, The man's cheering a sort of, little discussion. And he says from like the opposite end of the room from where I am, isn't it good that we're all so wonderfully feeling so close to one another? And like everybody nods in agreement. And even the chap who had been saying he wasn't. So this is me, you see. So I said, well, no, actually, I don't think, so however I said it, I expressed, I don't feel I'm one with you at all. I can't get near you. And in that moment, I think what God was doing was, what happened from there was, it all went glum. And then the next day, the guy didn't come out of his room. We all set off on the day's tour without him. So I am feeling the weight of that. And I think what God is showing me is this is how it feels for your wife. You see, that's what he's trying to do with me. Show me how my wife feels. So I'm feeling this is big and heavy. So I have that to carry around. I carry that around with me for the rest of the holiday. The only little bit of comfort I had was, you remember the chapel where the prophecy was about the sheep, the shepherd being struck and the sheep being scattered. Well, that it seemed like I'd struck the shepherd and he'd cleared off, and then the sheep, his sheep, I would have fully expected to take over his role, but they didn't. They just handed over to the Israeli guide, Elijah, who did a good job for that day. I think did it get back to normal the next day? I'm not sure. But the little shred of comfort I got was that when that prophecy had been given, and I said everybody looked round, mostly the people, I think, were looking at this chap that I think he came from Ashton. Really nice man, but not a Christian, not a born again, not one of us, and I think he felt it, and I hadn't spoken to him properly or anything, but at that time, at that evening, when everybody, he came to me and said, he encouraged me. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he was on my side. He encouraged me. So I had that little encouragement, but I had this weight of thinking, this is how it feels like for Janet, and so that's what I then carried around for the rest of the time in Jerusalem before we came. Well, not before we came home. I'll tell you how it lifted tomorrow. Okay, thanks for listening again. God bless. Bye-bye.